Hey, it's Romy. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, Capricorn. This is your May 2020 reading. So if you have a Capricorn Sun, Rising or Moon, it is a general reading, but it might resonate for you. If you're enjoying my work, please go ahead and support me by dropping me a like or comment, making sure you're subscribed to the channel. And you can find all of the information for the extended readings and how to connect with me personally in the description box underneath the video. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's coming up this month for you. Okay, Capricorn, so we are in May, Taurus season, a fellow earth sign for you, so helping you to feel a little bit more grounded. And for Capricorn rising especially, this is 5th house, so all that beautiful heart space energy as you connect into the ideas of how to be more creative and actually how to start to perhaps fall back in love with yourself and your life right now. You know, there's this opportunity for a beautiful soul review as we come into retrograde season, and actually the South Node coming out of your sign as well on the 5th of May, which is a biggie. So maybe even a sense of a little bit of relief that, you know, some of the deeper shadow work that you've been doing is starting to feel like it's moving through to some degree. And we open up your reading with the 3 of Cups. So, you know, there is an invitation here to say, what can I celebrate within myself at the moment? And I think it's really important, particularly in the current circumstances, to be able to find those moments each and every day where you really give yourself the recognition and the acknowledgement of how you're coping and the things that you're doing to support yourself first and foremost, of course the people around you as well. But I think the more that you can focus and put intention towards that, the more you can start to really give that praise and that beautiful sense of divine love and nurturing and nourishment, which Taurus energy can really help us to do. It's such a beautiful sensual energy that wants us to feel pleasure. It wants us to feel into the beauty around us, to make ourselves feel beautiful and our surroundings beautiful. And, you know, okay, there may be some incredibly ugly, difficult things that are still happening, but it doesn't mean that 24 hours a day you need to focus upon that. So in this celebration of who you are, of how far you've come, of the possibility of everything that is still set to unfold, we have you being able to feel into a lighter and perhaps even slightly more playful energy. And I think that's going to serve you incredibly well. We have a beautiful full moon in Scorpio on the 7th of May, which is in your 11th house of community, of connection. And I think for many of you, you are seeking that out in new and innovative ways, but also perhaps getting some of that soul soothing from the people around you who really understand you, and maybe Capricorn, the ones who really know what you've actually been through in the last few months and even the last couple of years. And I think you're seeking out that kind of a deep nurturing type of a energy to really give you a sense of balance this month. So 2 of Swords is coming in, and interesting, a choice or a decision to make. But I think really where this leads me to is in this month of May, you do have a choice. You can look at what's stretching out ahead of you and see that it can be filled with possibility, filled with the opportunity to continue the transformational growth that you've already been on, to recognize how far you've come, to start to put the seeds into that beautiful, rich, fertile soil about what comes next for you. And also perhaps to release and to see where some of the things that you thought were perhaps the right direction or the right way forward are not working for you. And in that recognition and in that real sense of clarity and conscious awareness, you know, you will make a choice. You'll make a choice of like, do I want to stay where I am, continuing to focus on the restrictive, difficult or chaotic, uprooted energy that might be around me? Or do I want to celebrate everything that I have to be incredibly appreciative and grateful about and move forward on that basis? Now, if this is regarding relationships, then maybe there is a choice and a decision to make as to, you know, where you are aligning your energy and who you're choosing to connect with at the moment. And I think that is incredibly important, because what you need to be seeking out right now is people who are looking to the future, people who are looking
toward the horizon, and wanting to rebuild, wanting to renew, wanting to make the adjustments and adapt, but come back with an even stronger, even more enduring, resilient kind of an energy. Not with the people who want to drag you down and get really negative or overly intense about their day-to-day experience. That's just not going to help you kind of set the vision out for yourself, because there is this beautiful quality of healing that's available to you to tap into. Now, card of Temperance could be Sagittarius energy, and maybe there is a decision to make around that particular sign, if that's your experience at the moment. This could be on a kind of friendship, or a co-worker or a colleague, or somebody that you're working with in business. I kind of get a vibe, or even a sister, actually. That sort of energy is also coming up to me, perhaps even someone that feels like a soul sister to you. Now, Temperance, though, also inviting you to be a little bit experimental this month as well, okay? In that beautiful 5th house Taurus energy, as we're kind of exploring our creativity, exploring what we feel passionate about, what lights us up, where our desires are now landing. That full moon in Scorpio is very compassionate, it's very sensitive and empathic, but let's think about the sign of Scorpio. It wants to go deep, it wants to bond, it wants to find that sense of unity. It's absolutely filled with passion and that kind of sense of almost exploring areas that we might not have come up against before. So even things that may have felt slightly taboo in the past, you're now having the opportunity to kind of feel your way into and think, is this right for me? Is this something that I would like to be involved in, or I'd like to open myself up to? Is there a new spiritual practice? Is there a different belief system? Is there a new hobby, a new skill set that is opening up for me? Temperance, though, is asking you, inviting you to be patient in terms of the way that things can start to come to fruition. And remember, Taurus is, of all the signs, absolutely our most wise teacher in terms of understanding the necessary allowance of things taking the time that they take to come into that full blossom. It's looking to the long term. It's understanding that we can plant those seeds now, and that they're going to require our tender, loving care. And this is very much the vibe of May. I think it's like tend to the garden of your soul. What is it asking of you at the moment? Where is it aligning you? And with all of these planets moving retrograde, you're having the opportunity to actually see how far you've come in so many different areas of your life. And that can be perhaps a really humbling experience for some of you, as you recognize how much you've moved forward, or how much you've completely transformed the way that you look towards perhaps certain relationships, towards yourself, the way that you look at life. So it can be very emotional, a very awakening kind of time as well. Now, Venus is moving retrograde on the 13th in the sign of Gemini, so that's 6th house for you. So looking at the way that you want to show up and be of service. But in retrograde, it's a bit of a deep review. Now let's go back to 2012, because some of the energies the last time Venus was retrograde in Gemini were in that spring of 2012. So you might well be revisiting a little bit of wound energy. You might be revisiting some themes that at the time perhaps felt quite difficult for you. But now, 8 years later, where you've completely transformed and changed immeasurably since that time, how are you responding differently? Maybe this doesn't hurt quite so much in the way that it once did. Maybe you can recognize where the healing has taken place, or maybe there are some areas that you recognize you need to still allow some deeper healing to permeate, and really kind of deal with something that you had buried deep for a long time. Now, Venus retrograde, it is about relationships. It's about the way that we allow love into our life, the way that we give love, and perhaps you may well come into contact with some people from your past, not just romantic. This could be friendships, this could be people that you worked with, anyone that you really held that kind of close bond with. And what does that bring up? Maybe there is some release energy, maybe there's some interesting emotions that are trying to show you not only how far you've come, but also perhaps what you're still seeking, or still where there's a void or a space that you've been looking to fill in other areas of your life. So there's an awful lot of kind of teaching energy with that 6-week transit of Venus, and I would invite you to really step into it and allow it to show you. Be the watcher of it. Don't feel like you have to be completely consumed by it, nor feel that if anyone does step forward or reach out to you that you're in a place where you have to respond or you have to give them any time or energy. This is really about the recognition of where you are on your soul journey and within that cycle at the moment. And on the 14th, Jupiter then moves retrograde in your sign, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion, so it's going to go into a backspin and a moment of retracting and pulling back, just so that you can have an assessment if perhaps the things that you started out in the beginning of the year are the right direction. Because let's face it, that the backdrop of what's happened could have completely changed your entire perspective over something or someone. And so this is a really beautiful month of like that deeper, quiet kind of stillness, where you get to reconnect to your own inner child, to your own desires, and to, deciding where you want to devote yourself. Where do you want to devote yourself? Because Knight of Coins stepping forward is about devotion. It's about loyalty. It's about showing up and saying, here's the area I want to work towards. This is what I'm going to commit to, and this is where I'm going to keep showing up for myself first and foremost, and then toward the people and the things in my life that really matter. I really like this energy at the center of your reading, Capricorn, not only because he's an earth sign and can represent you and your kind of natural self, but also just because it's giving you that steady anchor with which to explore different things, but also you're coming at it from like a really balanced place for me. And I think it's helping to bring some focus in. So even if you do feel a little bit split in energy over something, what we see here is you're actually moving away from anything that has caused you any sort of upset or grief or heartache. This is a time of healing and moving forwards, okay? So the thing I always think with the Two of Swords as well, which is sometimes linked into the sign of Libra, right? So it's about you weighing something up, but I always think that she does know the answer, so you can pretend that there's a choice to make, but actually if you move into your heart space, which is what 5th house is asking you to do, then it's fairly clear where you want to align, who you want to be with, what you want to be doing. And perhaps right now you either feel it's just not available to you, or there's something around you being resistant to it because you're not giving yourself permission. Perhaps you feel guilty to do that right now. So I would sit with some of that if those kind of ideas are coming through for you. 4 of Cups coming up is a gentle reminder, I think, that there's also that opportunity for you to step into neutral in May. So maybe what you found over the last few weeks is that your energy levels have been all over the place. Your emotions have been all over the place. As you try to make sense of things, as you try to adapt, as you try to cope with the fallout of, what has happened for you on a very personal level in terms of your life, your family, your work, and how it's been impacted. That's all taken its toll. There's been a drain there. And so actually I quite like that the 4 of Cups comes in and says, do you know what, you can take some time to just allow all of that energy to move through, Both Temperance and the 4 of Cups for me is just quite a gentle, soothing, peaceful frequency that is opening up for you to sit with and just say, do you know what, right now I don't need to rush. I don't need to come to any absolute decisive decision. I just need to look at all the possibilities. I need to kind of tap into a different energy vibe. I need to go into that meditation kind of space. I need to connect and commune with nature. I need to look at all of the things around me and to figure out what still resonates with me and what doesn't. And even if for some of you you're feeling like a lot of the things that you have around you no longer make sense, and that may include relationships, that may include, you know, some things that you felt so passionate and drawn towards and motivated by, and all of a sudden there's just like this kind of blanket of you know, apathy. That's okay too, because sometimes, you know, spirit can put us in that almost kind of anesthetized energy because it's helping with the trauma-based response that we may have had to recent events. And so right now what's required is that you just come back to stillness, come back to center. And for me, Temperance, Four of Cups, these are beautiful energies to enable you to do that without any kind of frenzy or, you know, distraction. And so don't fight that, allow it in, because in that state you can kind of not really have any one particular thought form grip hold of you and put you into any sort of fear or anxious energy. You know, this is actually quite a restful, peaceful place to be if you want it to be. It also denotes that something is on its way into you, and right now you can't see it, and maybe you need to move into the energy of neutral so that more easily it can start to make its way towards you. All right. So when we move into Gemini season from the 21st, and we've got a beautiful new moon on the 22nd in 6th house for you. It's also about the way that you're taking care of yourself, you know, those routines, how you're nourishing your body, mind and soul. So I think there's also going to be some real illumination coming up in the month of May, Capricorn, as to how you see things differently now. And Knight of Swords here also linking into a Gemini energy, or perhaps another air sign. And maybe you're looking to the inspiration of how you can start to tell a different story, start to use new ideas, to be innovative. Remember, if we think about the energy of Gemini, it doesn't hold itself to any one particular outcome. Gemini is the master, that mutable energy of just working on multiple things and really kind of moving their energy towards what feels good at any given moment. Sometimes for a Capricorn that can be difficult, because when you make your mind up, it's like, okay, I've committed to this vision, you know, Knight of Coins, and I'm going to just keep going until it comes to a point of fruition. And right now, maybe that isn't working so much for you, because your energy, you know, your whole response to what's happening on a wider scale, you're tapping into the collective, is just not allowing you to keep that consistency. And that's okay. So maybe we can move more into that mutable energy and say, all right, what do I need today? And maybe what I need today feels completely different to what it looked like yesterday. I also have a sense, because there's definitely a returning quality with the Knight of Swords, that perhaps someone is coming back in and around your life experience through this month, perhaps from the past. And, you know, beneath that Three of Swords, again, maybe it's somebody who in the past has caused you some kind of upset or pain. Look at what surfaces, if this is something that you experience, Capricorn, in May, okay? Look at what surfaces for you, and take a pause before you decide on, you know, what you want to do, and really check in to see the progress that you've made around that. But also look really powerfully at the energy with which this person is stepping forward, because that will really tell you everything about where they're at on their particular journey. And I think you'll feel that straight away. So however that communication comes in, you know, whether it's text or email or a phone call, or, you know, however, obviously not so easily from a physical perspective right now, but you can still read into the energy of the information. That will tell you, is this coming from a place of fear? Is this coming from a place of, you know, uncomfortable projection, where they're trying to regain something? They're trying to, you know, find a way to cope, find a way to feel more secure? Or is there a transformation that's happened on their path where you can now both come back together at a soul contract level to resolve something, to acknowledge something, to, you know, to invite in healing? So there's a lot of information that's going to be available to you before you even need to make a decision about whether you want to reconnect or have communication, is what I want to say. This may not be everyone's experience, and certainly it might not just be from a romantic perspective either. You know, with that Three of Cups, like I said, this could be friendships, colleagues, you know, even family members for you right now. Overwhelmingly, there is this kind of muted feeling that sort of is coming through the reading for me, where there's like, you know, that melancholy, that slight sadness, which is perfectly understandable right now. But I would also ask you to, I know this might sound strange, right, but go with it. I would ask you to ask that emotion of sadness, where is it coming from and what is it about? Because it's really easy right now to just feel, well, of course I feel sad. Look at how awful the experiences of, you know, so much of the world are going through right now. But I want to invite you to look deeper within yourself and see, maybe that sadness is showing you something about your particular journey and where there is healing that can come in for you. I just think it's an interesting time to be really curious about the way that you're being directed. And of course, I'm not taking away from the fact that there is tremendous grief and heartache and sadness about the way that things are happening on the world stage at the moment. But there's also an invitation here to work with that energy of sadness, or that kind of loss, or that emptiness, that void that may be showing up for you, and understand what it's showing you about the connection that you have with yourself. You know, I think it's kind of almost a bit of a trigger that we can really unearth something interesting. Now, 9 of Coins showing up, I really love the independence of this for you. I love the fact that many of you will find solace when you reconnect powerfully into what your internal dialogue is telling you about the best way forward. And I think that that may well mean that you make a decision that is very much right for you and not what you're being told or where you're being guided. Okay. This reminds you to recognize the amount of accomplishment that you've made energetically, spiritually, but also just within your life in terms of what you've created. You know, it's a time to reflect and say, you know, look at the family that I've nurtured, look at the house that I've been able to maintain, look at the business that I've created, look at the achievements I made in my job. You know, when we're on that hamster wheel, we never have time to stop and take stock and reflect, and also recognize how rich we actually are, even if right now perhaps things feel at times in a more scarcity mode. What I'm seeing with this 9 of Coins coming in is that actually, if you really took the time to look around the life that you have created for yourself, there is so much abundance that resides within it that you haven't always got the opportunity to really stop and feel into and recognize and feel really proud about. So, you know, back to what we said at the beginning of this reading, what can you celebrate within yourself? What can you celebrate about your accomplishments? And use that as a platform with which to keep raising your vibration through this month. And it's going to help you to come to a clear decision about where you want to direct yourself moving forward. Okay. If you are finding yourself in that energy of really being isolated, really being alone from, you know, either relationships ending or just kind of having to self-isolate, being alone, the 9 of Coins is also saying through this month of May, it might feel slightly easier to you than it has. Okay, so there's something about, again, that stillness, that peace coming in, bit of a healing, soothing energy that's working to make things feel less heavy, less jarring. All right, so we've got this beautiful Empress energy comes in, very connected into the sign of Taurus and this earth energy. Again, reminding you about the abundance that's available to you. The other thing I want to say with, you know, the whole line of energies happening at the root of your reading here is that you are going to be incredibly resourceful this month, Capricorn. Incredibly resourceful, all right? So that's something that's always available to you within your energy anyway, but I just think perhaps over the last few weeks it's not been so easy to tap into that. But I think where we look at this Knight of Coins right at the center of your reading, helping you to kind of anchor and get some sense of focus. Now what we're starting to see is where opportunities are opening up, and there's this beautiful creative nourishment that the Empress gives. So as we're in that Taurus time particularly, where can that be explored for you? What feels juicy and creative and nourishment and light and playful? And maybe it's the time that your soul just wants to explore things that have no real kind of fixed outcome, that there's no expectation around it, that you get to sit with a pad and draw or paint or create something or bake something or create a new vision board or decide on 25 new business ideas or sit and daydream about the perfect relationship that you're trying to manifest. Like all of that stuff has no, there's no kind of responsibility around it. You just get to be free in your thinking. The Empress is incredibly nurturing, and I think that you are being reminded in 6th house and Gemini time to really focus that inwards. But you're also being shown to me in this reading as also that person who will be able to hold space for others in a very nourishing, nurturing way through May. And I think it's because you've allowed yourself to sort of sit with your own energy of stillness and kind of come back home to yourself a little bit. And again, like we said, just feeling the relief of some of these transits moving out, that South Node moving into Sagittarius, and again, just helping you to really reflect on what you've been through, and then perhaps ready to share that in a very compassionate, loving way with the people around you. So let's take a look and see how the oracle cards are just reflecting this reading for you. Perhaps some of you have a real focus around like mother energy right now as well, maybe reevaluating your role as a mother, or even if you have you don't have children, it's just like, who do you feel that kind of an energy towards? Or maybe you're not able to connect in with your mother right now, or there's just a revisiting of memories around this whole kind of vibe for you coming up as well for me. Okay, so your oracle card is the Healing Temple, restoration, cure, safety. Yeah, really just a further embodiment of what we've talked about with this sacred space of stillness that I think is really available to you. And I love the mountains here because I think you're so at home in that kind of a landscape and terrain, Capricorn. But we also have the beautiful kind of forest nature here that is giving us the soil, the flowers in bloom to kind of really renew our energy. This temple is kind of hidden between the mountain ranges, and again I just feel this is about you finding the temple within, and perhaps you have to go on a bit of a quest to find that. You have to take the time to explore it, and it isn't sort of overnight. It's not about quick fixes. This is about you just honoring and allowing yourself to be where you are, but knowing that this is available to you. There's also a tremendous amount of protection, I feel, with all of these mountains surrounding the temple. So knowing that you are very protected, from spirit right now, but also that you can allow yourself to feel that sense of security within you. And regardless of how chaotic some experiences might be, or the projection of some energy that's coming towards you, you still get to decide whether you want to take that on, whether you want to sit in someone else's energy field and take all of that as yours, or whether you want to find that sanctuary of peace for yourself. Look at this sky, it's beautiful, clear. The stars are out, they're guiding you toward this temple of peace. And you stand here on the banks, but looking free, your arms are open in a place of willingness to receive information, and to really find that kind of restorative frequency. Interesting that one of the words here is cure. So I think as well that even from a vibrational perspective, you can really send out those beautiful prayers to the earth and to the collective for us to find what we need in order to move beyond this current set of circumstances, and that your energy is going to be really strong and aligned to do that. Particularly if we think about the idea of 6th house and being of service and how we show up and knowing our value, knowing that we do have something to offer here, even if it just is energetically through prayer, Okay, let's take a look at the oracle card astrologically. Okay, Moon in Libra, bringing peace into your life. Again, this beautiful energy of soul soothing coming through in May, and helping the relationships. Now, maybe there is a Libra, we picked that up with the Two of Swords here. So if that is the case, we're definitely seeing the opportunity for a little bit more harmony and balance to come back in. If this is someone returning, again, perhaps there's opportunity for some healing to take place for you on that level. But let's embody the essence of Libra and say, how can we find that harmony in our life? How can we make our space feel more beautiful? How can we put things in our body that are more nourishing and that help us to feel stronger and purer and clean our energy, shore our energy up, so that actually it gives us the best possible chance to look towards things in a more positive light moving forward. If you are feeling the lack of love in your life, this is a beautiful invitation to work with the idea energetically that you are already loved, that love already surrounds you, and that the more you can send it towards yourself, the more that you will start to draw it towards you. Empress energy. So beautiful, vibrant, radiant, peaceful energy for you, Capricorn. I really like this. Okay, I hope this has given you some insight for your month of May. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so you don't miss any further notifications. And if you'd like to join me for the extended reading, we're going to talk for another 20 minutes or so. You can find the link for the extended reading in the description box underneath the video by the comments. And what we're going to do right now is ask you to think about a question that may not have come up in this general reading, and we'll pull a couple of cards for you, and we can go into that in more detail as we continue. So just put your focus on that for me now, Capricorn. Okay, so a couple of cards that we'll cover off later, and then let's just go ahead and pull some clarifiers for your main 9 card spread. So the Three of Cups, bringing in the King of Wands. Okay, is there a fire sign energy that's pertinent here? Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo? And maybe this is also just around ideas of business or family. 10 of Coins coming up, and stability. Again, this theme of resourcefulness coming up really strongly for you, I think, this month. 2 of Swords, interesting. 7 of Swords, where are you not trusting yourself to make the decision, Capricorn? How is this theme coming up? Trust. Queen of Pentacles, this is you, or perhaps another earth sign that we are looking at. Again, this focus on applying yourself to those things where you're going to see the results of your efforts. Okay, we've got Page of Swords with Temperance. Another Three of Cups, beautiful. All right, Three of Swords bringing in Temperance. So there's so much healing coming in for you this month. It's beautiful. Knowing that you're so safe and protected. 8 of Swords. Okay, Hermit is coming in with a Knight of Coins. Maybe this is a Virgo as well that is in your experience at the moment. Three of Coins. Let's take a look at this 4 of Cups. Ace of Cups, beautiful. And 10 of Cups. Lots of family stuff coming up this month for you, Capricorn. Understandably, as many of you will find yourself 4 of Coins, and perhaps around family members way more than you have for some time, or apart and really feeling that distance. King of Cups here. Okay, water sign, Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. Okay, 9 of Coins bringing up 9 of Swords. One more there. 2 of Cups. Okay. Three of Wands with that Empress. I mean, there's definitely some relationship stuff on your mind this month that we can explore in a bit more detail here. Eight of Wands in the extended Capricorn. Okay, Empress again, wow. And Moon in Libra, Seven of Wands. Okay, look, thank you so much for joining me. I really wish you a soul-soothing month of May where you gain some clarity and also give yourself permission to feel peaceful. And if you are joining me, I really look forward to going into this in a bit more depth. Take good care and we'll connect again real soon.